One of the worst things that can happen to your retirement plan is having negative market returns right when you decide to retire and start pulling money out. That's called sequence of return risk and can destroy decades of compounding. But one of my favorite strategies to help solve this is called the buffer strategy. So today we're going to look at three different scenarios. They're all based on someone having $1 million and retiring in 2000, which for a lot of people is considered the worst time to retire. The first scenario that we're looking at here is if someone were to never take money out of that portfolio, right? So if we had $1 million in 2000, in 2012, we'd still be under $1 million. We'd be at 970,000. This is why they call it the lost decade. A lot of people got scared out of the market, but people that stuck with it for the long haul, you can see between 2012 to 2025, that 970,000 turns to 4.6 million. So invest for the long haul. But now, for today's discussion, let's look at what happens if we start taking money out. The second one is if someone were to retire at 2000, they got $1 million, they're planning on taking 50,000 out a year. They're ready for retirement. It's going to be great. But then dot com crash, and they continue to take 50,000 out every single year. In the end, they end up running out of money in 2018. That might not have lasted them all the way through retirement. So, what's a strategy to help solve this? One of my favorite strategies is called a buffer strategy. All you do is you continue to take $50,000 a year for income, but whatever year the market has positive years, you pull from the market. So you're pulling from growth, which is okay. Whenever the market has negative years, that's when you switch over and you pull what's called a buffer asset. Buffer assets are not affected by the ups and downs of the market. So you can see here in 2000, 2002, 8, 11, 18, and 2022, we'd have to pull from buffer assets instead of the market. Buffer assets can include savings accounts, CDs, fixed and fixed index annuities, permanent life insurance, or even a HELOC, a home equity line of credit on your home. So these things are not affected when the market does go down. These give your portfolio breathing room to recover while you live off a stable income. The result, you protect your portfolio through the worst market crashes, capture all the recoveries, and still enjoy retirement spending. That's systematic risk management, not hoping the market is nice to you and times up with your retirement date. So we look at the final numbers here. The buffer strategy, you end up with $1.25 million simply by not taking out in negative years. If you take out 50,000 a year, every single year, you run out in 2018. That is sequence of return risk in action. This is why using buffer assets is one of my favorite ways to mitigate sequence of return risk in retirement. It's not about avoiding the market, it's about surviving the bad years so you can thrive in the good ones.